been a long time since we've been together all the
I
same.
know. I was just telling before that I still can't believe 2 years have passed since we were all together in the lab.
Wait, it's been 2 years?
Over 2 years, I think. Or maybe near.
Yeah.
Did you forget that we had an entire pandemic that happened?
I'm like, yeah. You're getting close to 2 years, definitely. Wow. So how's everything going with you guys?
It's all right. It's all right. A lot of changes, but dealing with it one change at a time. What about you?
Yeah.
How are you?
So me and my family are okay. Just trying to, hang in there, basically.
Yeah, that's my response to hanging in there.
Yeah. But I think the pandemic's about to be over and, stuff about to clear up again and everybody about to be back on their schedule, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. Are we gonna go over what's being, I don't know.
And it's just audio only, right? Before?
Was that Tasmim? I didn't hear you.
It's only audio, right? For the podcast?
Is it only audio?
Mm-hmm. Like, it's only our voices, correct?
Why? You don't want to see your face?
No, because when I was looking at your podcast, it was just because podcasts are usually just audio, so I was just asking.
Right. So you guys are going to be an exception, right? You're going to be the first people I'm going to show your faces. So Naomi.
Wait, I'm not ready though, because I look crazy. So please, no.
Oh man.
And I'm not. I was like, I can't.
Just relax. I'm joking. I was joking.
I was like, got scared. I was like, no. It's like I'm out.
Oh man. Man, so how is it? You guys left me alone in the lab without even saying goodbye. Like literally. Like y'all, both of y'all, like
I don't think I had a chance to say goodbye. I mean, the pandemic just swooped in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we did goodbye though. Well, I did in January. I think
you
January was like my last meeting. Yeah.
Did you, Naomi?
And you didn't. I did.
Y'all didn't care about me. Y'all didn't care whether I got COVID or I didn't get COVID. Like y'all just
stop. We saw you in multiple lab meetings and you were perfect.
Oh,
yeah. And I only remember how we used to bully him in the lab, like our little brother.
Yeah.
And him when he was the first time he was culturing cells and all the bubbles he made in the media.
Memories. Okay, so I think we're good here. Recording, everything's good. So yeah, so we're gonna dive into that today, right? Like pretty much just to give the students listening like an idea of what it is to be in a research lab, and like what it takes to get into a research lab. So I mean, like, yeah, so are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Okay, let's dive in. Episode of the PREMED podcast. Today I have two of my very good friends, Naomi and Tasmim. Actually lab partners, or we were lab partners until they left without saying goodbye.
We'll always be lab partners.
Right. But welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, really welcome to the PREMED Live. Absolutely. So how's everyone doing? Let's start with that. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we spoke. Like all three of us at the same place. Crazy, right? COVID stuff. Yeah, how we doing?
Okay, I'll go first. So I recently graduated from Lehman College in January. I graduated with a bachelor's in science with a major in biology, concentration in neuroscience, and a minor in psychology. And right now I am a research assistant at NYU Neuroscience Institute. I got the McKnight National Fellowship to do so. That's what I'm currently doing so right now. And I'm also an academic coach at Lehman College. So I'm advising students on how to succeed in college.
How to succeed in college, how to get that 4.0. All right, Taz.
Okay. My name is Tasmim. I also recently graduated from Lehman College from the Macaulay Honors Program this last June. I can't believe I've already graduated.
Right.
You're the last one before.
I'm the last.
Join us soon.
My God. Very
But
soon,
yeah.
right? Very soon.
Yeah, right now I've joined a research lab at Mount Sinai during my junior year, so I've continued my research project with them since now. So I'm doing that, also working part-time during my gap year. So yeah, just keeping up with all of that right now and preparing to move out of New York City. So that's all.
New York City?
Yeah, I know. Life happens, but
for sure.
with everything that's thrown our way.
Right. So guys, so meet Naomi and Tasmim, right? Now today we like I said before, and as you can see in the title, pretty much all three of us have research experience when it comes to research. Today I wanted to have them on for us to speak about our experiences, right? How we got into the lab. We may have similar paths into like how we got into the research lab with Dr. Redenti, but we may also have differences, right, in terms of like how we actually got into the lab. So I wanted to give those perspectives to students so that, and to you guys, right, so they can actually learn from like the steps we took and kind of the experience that we got. Pretty much how do you get into a research lab, right? That's the whole ball game. So let's dive into it. So before we get to that though, Naomi and Tasmim, tell me, how was your high school experience like? Let's start with Tasmim. Who was Tasmim back in high school? I'm curious.
High school. Oh my goodness. I actually think about this often because when I compare the person I am today to the person I was back in high school or a teenager, I think I wouldn't be able to recognize who I am today, like if I was to look from my high school perspective, because I've changed so much over these past few years. In high school, I could say I was pretty lost. I didn't know what I wanted from my future. And also because I didn't really have a mentor or any older siblings to guide me through, the process that we have to face in education. I was just trying to figure out everything for myself, by myself. So yeah, it was pretty challenging, but we all made it through, and I feel like I'm a better person for that today, and I'm able to better guide my younger siblings and offer mentorship to our younger generation. So it's been a really great evolution.
Right. And how was your transition to college? Right. How was that like?
To college, it was a completely different ball game. For the first time ever, I had power over my own schedule. In high school, there were so many different things I wanted to do because I did have an interest in being a pre-med, and I wanted to go inside the hospital and actually see what it's like being in there. But because of that rigid schedules that high schoolers have, I didn't have that luxury of joining other programs that would allow me to explore the clinical arena. So when I came into college, making my own schedule allowed me that free space to start volunteering and take classes that I found an interest in. So that new, freedom that I had allowed me to really find myself and, kind of confirm that this is the path I want to follow and it's the right one for me.
Right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Naomi, you're up. Who was Naomi back in high school?
Well, I think I was a bit similar in high school, but there were some changes. So similar on the fact that I was, part of a whole bunch of clubs and activities and internships and trying to maintain my GPA, make sure it's staying high and doing, extra credit And
Right.
so,
Oh, extra credit. Oh my
yeah, I was
god.
tough. And he was
You're
like,
bringing back memories.
yeah, exactly. And
Oh
I
man.
feel like I was also quiet. I wasn't social. Oh, well, I did have, a group of friends, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't, participate in like some activities that I wish I had participated in. Like,
Right.
it's like I was mostly quiet and I didn't want to speak up like that much in class and stuff. But I think college changed that for me. It made me become more outspoken and,
Yeah.
I don't know, talkative now
Talkative.
and
Yeah.
not afraid to try stuff. Um,
Oh
so I think
man.
that was the
Yeah.
major change.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think.
Right. 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 For sure. For sure. And did you have any siblings before you? Like who had gone through that process, or you were the
No,
first?
I was the oldest.
Mm.
I do have like I think 7 siblings, younger siblings,
Wow.
but because I was the
I
oldest,
thought I thought they were just two.
oh
7?
no,
Wow.
7 younger siblings,
That's
and so I had the
ooh.
responsibility of doing well to
Mm.
so they have somebody to look up to. It's like, oh yeah, if my big
Right.
sister
Right.
did it, then I stuff like that. So maybe that's why I was
Right.
um driven like that. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. That's cool to hear. That's cool to hear, both of you. Okay. So let's dive into college life, right? As premeds, let me know. Did you both come into college as premeds, Tess, or no? Like, did you
Um,
declare a major like right as a freshman, or
oh no, so with my major, there was
yeah?
sticking to my major, well, like
Mhm.
it was a roller coaster, right? And it's like a story that's gonna take up another hour to explain. But
Please
when I
explain it. Take your time. Okay,
yeah, when
we're
I
listening.
yeah, no, when I came into college, I was
Yeah.
undecided, but in the back of my head, I always had this attachment towards medicine. So I was being a pre-med was still in my mind, but I was still,
Mm.
because I found this new freedom of, being flexible in college, I still allowed myself to explore other areas, but
Right.
all of them led me back to being a pre-med. But so I started off with a public health major because
Mm.
I loved what it offered, because not only did it allow me to take the hard sciences
Yeah.
that I enjoyed, but it also allowed me to explore like things like learning about healthcare, learning about community health, and the other parts of medicine that I was also interested in learning. But they removed that major in the beginning of my sophomore year, so I've already taken a lot of credits for that major. But because they had taken it away, I was told to choose something else. So I
Wow.
was panicking at that moment because I already
Mm.
had so many credits for the public health major.
Right.
So after, nearly over, like, and that was during my finals week that I found out. So I was under so much
Mm-mm.
stress. So
Wow.
what
Dang.
I did was
That's crazy.
I talked to a bunch of department heads, and
Yeah.
they told me to do a minor in public health, or but the thing is, the remaining classes I wanted to take revolved around health education, focusing on community health. So I was like, you know what, I'd rather do a minor in health education because I love teaching.
Yeah.
And what is like, I can't think of anything better than combining teaching and medicine. So I was like, hey, health education, perfect. But now what about my major? So
Wow.
being, coming to this, a country at a young age, I really loved learning about other people's cultures. And that was something that I found a lot of, joy and passion in. So I looked at anthropology courses that, and like that satisfied that passion I had.
Yeah.
And as a and with anthropology, they also had chemistry and biology. And they combined all those three majors into one called the ABC major that Lehman is like known for, the
ABC.
anthropology, biology, and chemistry major. So I was like, you know what? I feel like this major was made for me because it allows me to kind of get a taste of every like field that I want to learn from. So
Right.
I decided to major in that and went through with it. So that's my story. Yeah.
Right. Right. And before I get to Naomi, like, so let me get this straight, Tess. So like you graduated obviously, but were you able to keep those credits from the public health major
Yeah, I was, because I was able to transfer a lot of them to my health
to the health
education
education, right?
minor.
Minor,
And yeah,
right?
but I think it was very tough catching up with my fulfilling my credits for my new ABC major, because
Mm,
since I'm a part of the Macaulay Arts College too, they have separate classes I have to take every semester
correct.
for me to be in that program. So the
Right.
credits from there, the credits from my new major, I
Mm-hmm.
had to take about 18 to 19 credits every semester to keep up with it. So it was
Right.
difficult, but I was able to finish on time, thank goodness. So it worked out at the end.
It worked out. It worked out. Naomi, you came in straight as a pre-med. You're like pre-med track, bio major. Let's go this.
So I think my transition to college, I used that summer to, one, take a break, but two, also research on, okay, what I need to do to get into medical school. Do I need research? When should I take research? When should I, do I need shadowing? How much hours is recommended? I did all that research ahead of time, so I know exactly what I need to do. I'm more like a planner. I don't know. I like to
You
plan myself.
are, yeah.
I am.
That's yeah.
So I was okay. So freshman year, I have time to do shadowing, whatever.
Mhm.
And then I move on to research, and I move on to volunteering later on and stuff like that. So I planned
Okay, wait.
everything before freshman year. I'm
You
telling you
plan
because
okay. You plan like freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, literally right that summer. That's crazy. Okay,
I
you're right, like that emoji face, like Jazz.
I was,
That's
I was like,
crazy.
yeah. So even
Okay,
like my freshman year,
interesting.
September, I was already calling up hospitals like, can I shadow you? Can I shadow you?
Wow,
Yeah, I was
Naomi,
already getting
that's
motion.
nice.
And actually, my a neurosurgeon from Cornell, she was really nice. She allowed me to shadow her for 2 months, 2 or 3
Mhm.
months. I think they give you 90 days before you have to reapply again, but she allowed me to do that. So I already jumped into shadowing. Um, I do recommend people to, plan out,
Mm.
take the time to actually sit down, plan out, what they want to do for each year, how can they fit in volunteering, stuff like that, because sometimes if you take in, so let's say, a hard class, like a science, and if you take in two, you don't want to put, down like you want to do volunteering, but so many hours a week. You probably want to volunteer instead during the summer, right? So I matched up my classes or what classes I should take to
Mm.
what activity I should do, whether it's research, if I have time for research, or time for volunteering, or probably shadowing. Shadowing is much easier because you don't have to shadow for a long period of hours. Like volunteering, it's just, an hour a week or 2 hours a
Right,
week,
right.
or, it doesn't require a lot of time like
Mm.
volunteering. So that's why I did that first.
Yeah,
So I recommend people do that.
that's wow, Naomi. Okay, I'm not surprised though. Right. That's great. I hope people are taking notes. Yeah, that's great. So you pretty much like plan everything ahead of time. You're like, I'm going for this
Yeah.
method, right? Like that's great. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the MCAT soon. But before we get even into that, why medicine? You guys are smart, right? Um, a lot of things you could have done in the world, a lot, but you chose medicine. Why?
So
Anyone?
okay, I go first. So I chose medicine because since I was in elementary to through up to high school, my mom was a nurse, and she often will, take me to health fairs to, present something, let's say, on exercise, why exercise is healthy, it's helpful or whatever, and how to take care of your body, and how to, prevent, cancer, or prevent, heart disease and stuff like that. And I always thought to myself, what about people who already have cancer or who already, have these diseases? How can
Mm,
we help them? Right. So I always thought more on the doctor perspective of it.
mm,
I also did, certified nurse assistant in high school, I did like a little program where I became a certified assistant, and I realized that I didn't really enjoy it as much, and it also led me to why I didn't want to really do nursing, just because the doctors have to tell you, you taking care of the patient, you understand the patient needs, but the doctor is the one who's telling you, this is what you should do.
And you're like, this doesn't match with my personality. This is not me.
It's not really, know. So on top of that, also like psychology in the brain, the neuroscience behind it, it's just so amazing. So that's why I realized, okay, let me just try the pre-med track, focusing on neuroscience mostly and neurology and brain tumors and stuff. I'm more interested inside that. And I'm still interested.
Right. Okay. So that's your Horizon Medicine. Taz, what about you?
Okay. So when anyone asks me this question, I sit back and really have to reflect on my thoughts, because I feel like this question, I could never give one straight answer, because there's, Naomi's agreeing, because it's so hard to answer this question with just, this is the only reason.
Taz, we want to hear all of it. Okay.
All right, let's see if I could, let's
get the ball rolling.
All of it, because there's so many, there's so many different reasons that leads a person to a certain field. For me, earlier I said that when I came to undergrad, because of that newfound freedom, I was exploring a lot of different things. So a lot of my jobs revolved around teaching, and I said earlier, I love teaching. That's why I minored in health education, because it was a supplement to the courses I was teaching to my students. And with teaching, with doing research, being in the lab, helping find new therapies for these crippling diseases that are all out there, and also being in the clinic, shadowing doctors and being able to see how they interact with patients and how that intimate relationship they were able to form inside the clinic. All those different reasons, all those different experiences I had, I knew I was going to get it if I chose to become a physician. And how could I leave that? I couldn't. If I because this road is so difficult that there are so many times where you kind of sit back and you ask yourself, is it worth it?
Yeah.
But when you but the thing is, I've asked myself that so many times, because this path isn't easy, and no one will understand it until they go through it for themselves. And whenever I come back from being a pre-med and kind of just step away and see, okay, can I find something else? I always come right back. I'll spend a few days researching other fields and doing so much research, enough to actually follow another path. But then I'm just I lose my joy. I lose that drive, that fire. That fire that kind of pushes me, because that's the I never feel as motivated as I do when I know that I'm doing what my end goal is.
Right. So before we continue, Taz, what are some of the other fields that you sometimes search?
No, so I said within medicine mostly. When I would maybe a full-time researcher, or sometimes I even looked into teaching. But if I go into teaching, I'll miss medicine. I'll miss the clinical aspect of it, and I'll miss the human body. I know it sounds super cliche when you're like, oh my god, the human body is amazing. It is amazing. It's the most incredible machine in this. I mean, how
ever made. Crazy.
It's insane. I mean, the more you learn about it, it's just you sit there in awe. And when
all the intricacies.
Studying, like you said, we're gonna talk about the MCAT later. When I'm studying for the MCAT, I'm not killing myself. I know it's hard. I kill myself when I'm getting the questions wrong. But when I'm learning the material, I'm just like, are you kidding me? How is it? Why isn't everyone trying to become a doctor? Because it's miraculous. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right, that was just a segue. You can move on with your white medicine, but you pretty much wanted that, or you pretty much want that kind of merging of the teaching aspect, but also the human aspect with it, the clinical aspect, research aspect, all of that, encompassed.
It's like a merging of everything that I love so much.
Right. Okay. Naomi.
Help people as well. So some people just say, oh, I just want to help people, but it's more than that. As Tasmim mentioned, it's more like research, clinical, teaching. It's all that combined. And then what type of, what do you want to focus on too as a human body as well? It's like, everything plays a part. And that's why it's not just one story. And some people have one story though, but some people, just a mixture of everything.
Yeah. And also we need more physicians who look like the population we have in the US and around the world. I'm Bangladeshi. So I've had so many experiences where I've gone to a physician with my parents, and because they weren't able to communicate or relate to their physician or the staff in the clinic, like it diminished their quality of care because they weren't able to feel as vulnerable or as comfortable in a place where you really need that to receive the best quality of care. Right.
That is that's true facts. I have nothing to say to that. You pretty much hit the nail on the point. Okay, now let's dive into research, right? Let's dive into research, the meat of the whole session today. Man, first off, how did you guys even get the mindset that you wanted to go into research? I know Naomi, you pretty much planned this ahead of time, but where did you even get that mindset from, right? Like that research, where did that come from?
So I go. So I got that from when I took my psychology class in high school. I had so much questions. I often asked my professor about it. I was taking a college course through Lehman for psychology because my high school didn't offer psychology. So he used to ask us so much questions on why this, why that. And she always said it's the mind, the brain, and it's limited amount of research done on it. That's what sparked me, really? There's not much research done in the neuroscience field, and there's so much questions that's left being unanswered. So that's what made me, want to dive into research, other than, you also do it for medical school and stuff like that. But some people, they don't do it because they're not interested in it. You have to be interested in research to want to do all the work.
That is the quote of the day. You have to be interested in research in order to even think about doing it, right? That's deep. Yeah. Tess, where did that idea come from?
Yeah, so actually it's very similar to what Naomi said. For me, when I was taking my science courses, I would be reading my textbook, and I would just go up to my mom, how did they find this out? Who came up with this? I was always that kid who would always ask why, why this? Why do I have to do it this way? Why does it work this way? So it was just why? And I actually didn't know what it meant to do, what did it mean to do research? I wasn't very familiar with that. So when I found out that Lehman had their own research department, I was like, whoa, that's super cool. And I thought it was only for professors, students weren't allowed in there because it looked super just exclusive. Right. But then when I, started doing my research on, being a pre-med, I kept hearing, doing research. I'm like, wait, what do you mean by doing research? It's not just just reading articles all the time. There's more to it. So, I looked into it and I said, oh, this is cool. I would love to, get involved in, being in a lab and, contributing to, figuring out the material, the discoveries I always have the why for.
The why for, right.
So, yeah. So I shared this with my advisor, which is very important. So for the pre-meds who are listening, it is super important that you share what you would like to do with your advisors, with your professors, because you never know who is doing what, or who knows who is doing something that you're interested in. Get the word out. Say, because I went straight to my advisor and I told her that, I'm looking for research labs, and I looked at all the Lehman faculty and started emailing them hey, I'm a freshman and, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I've read your papers, and I found so interest in so many different labs. And Professor Baumschad responded back to me. And she said, come into my office, we'll talk. And I did. I went to her office, and then the project that I was interested in, she told me that, I'm wrapping this up and I'm not going to be starting a new project until much later. But here are these other PIs who are doing the XYZ research.
Just like that.
Yeah, and so she gave me like their contacts. I was like, oh, I was very grateful, very thankful. And then on the way home, and this very same day, I get an email from Dr. Redenti. Like it was insane. I get an email from Dr. Redenti saying, "Hi, Dr. Shorts from the Macaulay program has recommended 3 students from the program to join my lab. My student is leaving right now, so I'd like if you're interested, come and we'll set up an interview." So of course, like right away, he was one of the PIs that I read like what his lab was doing, and I really was fascinated by it. So I said yes, of course, and I went to meet him, and I guess he liked me, so he was like, "Okay, come join." And then
we're gonna come to that, but that's crazy. So you got an email from Dr. Redenti himself.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. Let your advisors know. Your advisors are your friends, and they know a lot of the faculty on your campus. They know faculty in other campuses. So if they know that you're interested in research, they'll have your name in mind. For example, I also told my volunteer coordinator, who like also sent me an email like a few months after I got into the Redenti lab about a clinical research at Methodist, who like, and she said, if you're interested, come join. But the thing is, because of my schedule, I had to turn it down. But because I spread the word, because others knew this is what I was interested in, they helped me out, and they will help you too. Just start emailing, start looking into labs, read what their research, what research they're doing, and spread the word. Yeah.
Start emailing. So like pretty much you never know who knows who, right?
Exactly.
You never know that. Now, Naomi, what do you have to say to that?
So I could start by talking about my experience first trying to get into a research lab. So I started my freshman year again, but this time during winter break. And I emailed all the professors that does psychology and neuroscience. But before I emailed them, I read their articles, their research articles that they have submitted already, and what research they're working on and stuff like that ahead of time to see if I'm interested in.
Right.
Because I know that if I'm not interested in the work, and the research stuff, then I shouldn't even waste my time. Because when it comes to research, you have to do something that you're interested in. Like, to do, to be, so you be happy while you do the work, right?
Don't try to be bored right here. Get something you love, right?
Yeah. So because I was interested in neuroscience and psychology around that, right? I emailed all the professors, in that, area, and nobody responded back to me except for Professor Baumschad, but she just said that, she wasn't doing any research.
Right. So Naomi, let's pause on that, right? After you send those emails out, how long until like Professor Baumschad got back to you? How long was that process? About how many weeks or something?
No, she just got back to me in 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days, okay. But you pretty much didn't hear back from anyone else except her.
Yes.
What was your what was your mindset back then? The reason I'm asking this is because those listening, guys, it's gonna happen, right? No one is immune to this. The point is, like, the worst thing they can say is no. Right? So like just go for it pretty much. But like, I wanted to know, like, what was your mindset back then? Like, you're not hearing from anyone except her.
Yeah, so I figured that probably, they're on their vacation or whatever. So that's why they can respond to emails. So I was the type to be persistent and go face to face. So I went to their, each one of their labs and like, hey, my name is Naomi Codrington. I like to do research at your lab.
Let's go.
That's what I did to each one of them. And they're like, you're just a freshman. What do you mean interested in research? I'm like, I am. They're like, you're too young, you're not ready to understand what research is. I was like, I do understand what research is.
Were you wearing like a suit and a tie and everything?
I don't know, but a lot of them were like, they're full at the time, or they're not
Right.
doing research, or I'm just too young as a freshman.
Right.
And I kind of just gave up, but I decided to, ask again my sophomore year. So my sophomore year, I went to Redenti's lab and I think another professor's lab, early too. I believe in October.
Early? In October, okay.
Remember. And good thing I did so, because he did say that a lot of students tend to come in December to ask for spring semester. And so you want to be, ahead, make sure you get a spot, because there are a limited amount of stops in research labs. Right. And so you don't want to go during the time that everyone else is going. You want to go ahead of time.
It's a competition, guys. Go ahead of time and be ahead of the curve, okay? If you want to get into it. Okay. Yeah, Naomi. So
I went to Dr. Redenti's lab, you said before, my sophomore year, because he was full my freshman year. So I went again to see if he had a spot available, and he did. And he asked me what, my GPA, why I'm interested inside his lab. And because I read his article and stuff, I was able to show him that I do I do understand what
she's always over preparing, right? Like,
well, you have to make sure
I love that.
Right? Exactly. I hope you guys are taking notes. You read his articles.
Yes, read his articles.
Like that.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It is important.
To know like the lab is doing. Sorry, no, I just want to add that in.
Like worst thing could happen. You go into the lab. Oh, I want to be a research assistant. Okay.
What do we do?
What do we do? I don't know. Like, you don't want that to happen.
Yes, that actually happened to me freshman year, right? I remember I told you that I went to everyone's lab.
Yeah.
And I went to the what's it called? The head department. Who's the
Dr. Chang?
Yeah. I went to him. I was like, hey, I want to do research.
Whoa, you went to Dr. Chang and you didn't know?
Do you even know what my research article's about? I bet you don't know it. I was like, yes, I do.
Oh, no.
He said, yes. He said, read this article. He gave me another article to read. And
no.
Yes, there. Oh, my God. Yes, he asked me questions about his research article, too. But because, I was prepared, I was able to answer them. But he's really serious about his research. And he only wants serious people in his lab. Right. So if you show that you are serious about research, you have done your work and looking up their lab and what they do. And if you tell them why you're interested in research, why you're interested in their topic, whether it's plant or research on neuroscience or cancer cells or DNA and proteins and stuff, you either tell them why you're interested in that stuff, right? And why their research lab compared to other people's research lab. Stuff like that. You gotta be prepared for these questions. And so, so I got in sophomore year for the spring, January.
Okay, man, I feel like we're just giving all the tips out. Ooh, Prevent Life Bull podcast. Okay, okay, you.
I do want to mention.
I mean, you definitely learned your lesson, right? Like you went into Dr. Chang's lab without knowing what he does. That's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to mention though quickly that my freshman year summer, even though I wasn't part of research lab, there was a research program at the college that I did. I think it's PTS 3 research.
What does PTS 3 stand for?
Pathway to STEM success.
Okay, I was gonna quiz you on that. If you got that wrong, I was gonna call I was gonna call all of them and be like, okay, yeah, go on.
Yes. So they were offering that at Lehman College, and I did that my freshman year. And that allowed me to get started in the research lab as well. They match you up with somebody from either BCC or Lehman College, a professor, and you just do research for the summer. And that's what I did to, get started.
Right.
And speaking of summer programs, there's also one thing I wanted to add, that it's very important to also apply to different summer research programs that, it's offered, that are offered to undergraduate students. Because like at first, like you guys asked me how was I different in high school and in college. In high school, like I knew I could be a good student, but I never put myself out there for those, prestigious awards. I was like, oh no, those are for like those geniuses. I could never. So I never even attempted to. But in college, I let go of that mentality. I was like, you know what? Let me shoot my shot. So I applied to a lot of different summer programs, and one of them was Fulbright. And when I actually got, I passed, when I passed every phase, it shocked me with every phase that I was passing. And then when I finally got the award, I was amazed. So for the premeds who are listening, and if you think that applying to Fulbright, applying to Rockefeller, applying to Einstein summer research programs are too intimidating and are not for you, it's for everyone. If you're an undergraduate, it's for you. These programs are designed for you. Right. So all you have to do is go on their website, look at their deadlines, fill out the application, and submit it. And just like before said, the worst thing they could say is no.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Taz, when did you apply for Fulbright? Was that junior year or?
So, okay, this is another like motivational story in of its own. So in sophomore year, I applied to a Columbia summer program and I got rejected. And I was like, okay, I knew it. Like I'm not good enough. But in my junior year, Oni was like, no, you're applying to summer programs. And she's been such a huge like factor of motivation for me. And I was already and I was already amped up too. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply to more research programs. And it was in my junior year. And I actually had only 2 weeks left to apply to that program. So I put together my application very quickly, but I took my time with it. I'm not advising you guys to rush. If you guys have the time, craft these applications to the best of your ability, because you are, they'll be looking at thousands of applications and you want to make sure you put your best foot forward. But it was during my junior year that I applied. Nice.
So I was going to ask this later on in the episode, but summer programs, right? Let's list them. Okay, so both Taz, you already mentioned some of them. Naomi, like, did you apply to any of them? Like, what are these programs that you applied to back in college, pretty much?
So, for me, I didn't really apply to a lot of summer program, just because summer research program, because one, I wanted to focus on the research done in my lab at Lehman. So I wasn't really thinking about research program until my I think my junior year, I believe, when I think towards my end of the junior summer, what I did was I applied to CUNY research summer program.
Perfect.
And when I did that, I applied to that one, and I think I applied to one more other one. I think it's called Massachusetts research summer program. I'm not sure if you guys, UMass. But I applied to only those two, and I got into the CUNY research summer program.
You said it's called UMass?
Yeah, UMass research summer program. And so I got into the CUNY research summer program. That one, that was during COVID. So it was Zoom, but I still had a wonderful experience. And the stipend was really good as well.
How much? How much was it?
$6,000.
Yeah, they offer very generous stipends as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of these programs offer a lot of stipends and stuff, which is good if you need help financially and also travel.
I see. And y'all knew all of this and you never told me.
Before we mentioned this throughout all of our lab meetings. Stop.
Okay.
This is why we bully him in the lab.
Oh, please. So let's look at this. All right. So UMass. Okay. So were these all REUs or they were what were they? Or you actually had to apply to them like personally, like on your websites?
Yeah, I had to apply to them personally, but you could find a whole bunch of summer research programs just by typing it into Google. Type in, what do you want to do? So there's a lot of marine or biology or neuroscience. Just type in, undergraduate summer research programs, and a whole bunch popped up. Even from other colleges, they have their own list.
Right.
And even talk to your own advisors. They probably have a list of their own of research programs you could apply to.
Yep.
So,
the Office of Prestigious Awards at Lehman has an entire packet of so many different awards for every year for all undergrads. So definitely reach out to them because they have like over 100 to 200 different awards for the school year and the summer.
Right. Shout out to Professor Augustine. Okay, so let's see. Right. You guys knew about all this, never said a word. Okay.
Before, stop. I begged him to come on to Pure Health Exchange. Oh my God, this is so funny. I begged both of you to come on to Pure Health Exchange, and then like a year later, Naomi calls me. Yeah. And Naomi's like, Tasmim, why didn't you ever tell me about Pure Health Exchange? I was like, I've been telling you guys from like sophomore year.
Guys, you see what I'm talking about? Exactly. No. We're just joking around. All right. So thanks for sharing your research experiences. Let's talk about this. One more about the research, and then we dive into the MCAT. Right. How did you mature? Right. Obviously, we all matured through freshman year. Well, Taz, you got into pretty much late freshman year, like between freshman and sophomore year, right? Into the research lab. Yeah.
Yeah, I began during the winter break of freshman year. During the winter break,
right? Yeah. Okay. So you were early in the process, and then Naomi, you got into in your sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you mature over the years? What was the maturing process like? What were the lessons that you learned? What are kind of the benefits that you see in research in general, and also what are benefits that you see in research when it comes to going into medical school? Let's get into that. Anyone can go first.
Okay. So for me, as I said, in my sophomore year, I did research at, Redenti's lab. And, after a year, he told me, why don't you apply to, conferences, research conferences? And I was like, I'm not good. I don't want to, I wasn't, at that point, I wasn't like, as I said, out there or outspoken or, want to like deal with the public or anything, or, I was more like an introvert still. So I was like, I'm kind of shy. I don't really want to speak, but he was like, the benefits of, going to conferences and meeting other people, sharing your ideas, sharing your work. You also come look at your posters and you get to learn how could you further improve your research. And there's a lot of benefits in doing that. So I don't have to do the speaking part, but I could share my poster. And I said, okay, let me just try it out. So my first research conference was at the CUNY, I believe the CUNY undergrad research conference up in Long Island. And I did that and it was amazing. There was so much like-minded people there and we made so much connections and, I really enjoyed the experience that it made me apply to other research presentations and stuff as well. So I also applied to the one that I think Einstein was also hosting a research conference that I went to. Right. I also went to the one for Icahn School of Medicine, and I think Harvard Medical School also had a conference, research conferences. And there's a lot of, global research conference on undergraduates and also national.
So in total, how many conferences were you able to attend and present at?
So in person, it was 3.
Okay.
But through Zoom, because of the pandemic, it was like 4 more.
Perfect.
So I did,
so 7 in total.
one as well. But
Right.
it was really,
Oh,
nice.
you did international one as well.
Yeah, so it's like the International Student Congress of
Yeah.
Biomedical Sciences is
Yeah.
what I did as well. And, all those are experiences help you to become more, extrovert, I guess. Love public speaking, are afraid to talk in front of people. It really helped me with that because I struggle severely. You also get to learn from other people's, research. And you could see, you get to learn how to improve your own as well. So yeah.
Did you have to pay for any of the conferences to present on them? People are
So
curious.
you have to pay to attend.
Mm.
After you get accepted, after your abstract is accepted, you do have to pay some of them. And what you could do is ask your your advisor if there's
wait. You just brought up some big word. You said word abstract? What is an abstract, Naomi? And what?
Okay. An abstract is basically a summary of your research.
Oh,
So
a summary of the research.
Summarize, the intro, right? What's the purpose of your research? Why are you even performing this research? Then you move on to the methods, the procedures quickly. It's not a long thing. And then the results, right?
And the results.
Okay. And it's nothing long. It's just mostly like, I think 300 words, 200 words.
I see.
Explaining everything.
Okay. Thank you for breaking that down for us. Please move on, Professor Codrington.
Okay. Where was I? I forgot where I was before.
About you paying for the conferences, right?
Yeah. So, what I did was I did ask a program that I was in. I think PTS3, and they do cover the grant. Well, they give you a grant to cover the expense. You also ask your advisor at Lehman College if there's any, travel grants or.
Right. So I believe other programs like ACE, what other programs are there?
Yeah.
Different scholarships that you can apply to, right? So that's why what Tasmim talked about. If you're a Lehman student listening to us, getting in touch with the Office of Prestigious Awards is so key, right? Because most of these things can be funded. You just need to know what to apply to. So get in touch with them.
Ask around. I like to just ask around, go through the different buildings at Lehman, see what they offer. Like, what the different centers or, offices offer. And I think it's one of them that gives you assistance to these conferences as well. Don't really remember.
Right. For sure. So Taz, let me since Naomi already dived into it, right? Most of it. Let me ask you this. What are some benefits that you see? The second part of the question. What are some benefits that you see when it comes to doing research in general, right? Pretty much like sparking your interest in research. What are some of the benefits you see in general, but also in terms of going to medical school? How is it beneficial? Does it set you apart from other applicants? What are some of the benefits?
So are you talking about the benefits of research in medicine or the benefits of having a research background as a pre-med?
The second part, I say undergraduate, right?
Oh, okay. So a lot of medical schools really emphasize, that pre-meds have some sort of research experience because in medicine, when you are involved in research, you have an open mind to new solutions. And in medicine, nothing is ever said. You're constantly looking for new innovations to better medicine in general. So if once you step into the lab and you kind of get your feet wet and see the way your lab is working to better treatments, to find cures even, you realize that once you become a physician, that one treatment isn't just the only option. Like it opens your mind unbelievably because it kind of trains you to think that, you know what, this treatment may not work, but I could do some reading, step into the lab, work with my colleagues, talk to them, and come up with a different ballgame. So I think with medical schools, when they see that you have a research background, they know that you're familiar with this.
Yeah.
So that's why they say it's a benefit, but don't get scared. Don't think, oh my God, I don't have any research, I'm never going to get into medical school. That's not true either. And I also wanted to mention, please don't be intimidated when you hear some people starting earlier than others, because there's no perfect mold to being a pre-med. It doesn't matter if you're doing research, shadowing, volunteering in high school, or if you just found out that you're interested in medicine when you're a senior. There's so many different the population of pre-meds is so huge and diverse. That's the beauty of it, and that's the way it should be, that you could always find a person or two that has a very similar background to you and that shares a similar story to you. And when you reach out to them or you see them on YouTube, when you hear them, it gives you the confidence. And you know what? If they could do it, so can I. And trust me, if you want it, you could do it.
If you want it, you could do it. Exactly. Absolutely. That is pretty much a summary of what this podcast is about. Trying to expose you guys to the different paths into medicine, right? So Tasmim, thanks for hitting on that. Let's move on though. Where are you guys when it comes to the medical school application process?
Oh, this is
before we get to that.
Yeah,
I do want to know more about research though. So I have more tips. So
please.
One tip I have is also look for research scholarships or funding programs at your college. So one of the programs that I applied for was LSAMP. LSAMP gives you $3,000 for you to do research at your college, right? So once I got into Redenti's lab, I was like, okay, let me look for grants and stuff to, help me, to pay for the expense of me, doing research. Because, instead of me working, right, I'm spending time doing research in the lab. So I think one of the advisors told me about LSAMP. And then I also applied to this other one called STEM, that gets you $3,000 each semester, right?
Ooh,
and then,
really? Okay.
Yes, and I think there's another program I applied to through the biology department to give you another award. I think it was $2,000. So that's what I did, and that's
what's the name of that program, Naomi?
For the biology department, it was like I cannot recall, but they have like this sheet of paper, and they give it. You have to fill it out. If you just go to like the biology department and ask them, or talk to the biology department advisor and ask them about like a research grant. If they have any of that, they should tell you about that. If the college offers it. And that's why I said it's important to just, ask questions, go to different departments, ask them, what do you offer? Do you have any resources for students? Look around and, make use of the opportunities that your college has to offer. I think I also had another.
Bring it on.
Okay, so I also want to talk about quickly, that it's okay if you don't get into like top research programs right away, because it builds up. So if you find one at your, local college, right, you attend that, you already have some research experience to now apply to other research programs, right, to get into Fulbright, to get into the one I got into, McKnight National Neuroscience Research, right? To get into those, you need to have some background on research. And starting from, your home college, right? Just find, a professor helps you get that experience that you need to, get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. So thank you for the wealth of information, right? Okay. Now let's get to this. Like I said, where are you guys in terms of the medical school application process?
So I could go.
Yes.
So I think we may run over time because the medical school application is really important. It's really important to know about. So for me, I will be applying to medical school for the 2022 to 2023 cycle. So this coming cycle. So I am preparing for that which means that I am working on my primary applications and also preparing and studying for the MCAT. So that's what I'm doing. But if you guys want a rundown on the medical school application, I could do a brief summary if we have the time. Do we?
Absolutely. I mean, you guys, it's okay. So it depends on you guys, right? Like whatever time you guys want us to take this, right? So feel free. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to share this because it was a
Absolutely.
very daunting process for me to find out. Because as I said, like when you're the first one going into this without like a friend or a sibling or a mentor who's there with you all the time guiding you through it, it could be very intimidating because,
Right.
and also it's very confusing too. So with the medical school application, it's a year-long process. So for example, let's say that you want to get into medical school straight away without any gap years from undergrad. And after you graduate in June, you're going to hop into medical school in August. So you don't have any gap years. Let's say you're taking that path. If you are taking that path, that means you have to take the MCAT ideally around from your sophomore year to the winter break of your junior year. That's the sweet spot of you taking the MCAT. So you have your score back in time to submit your application. So if you're not taking a gap year, you have to submit your primary application when it opens in June of your junior year. So you have until, I mean, you could submit your primaries from any time from the time it opens to the time it closes, but because there's so many medical school applicants, it's highly recommended that you apply as early as possible. That means within June. And also because it's rolling admissions, that means the sooner you send in your primaries, the faster your application gets verified and the faster you get looked at by medical schools. So now let's dive into how this primaries thing works. So the primary application, it consists of your personal statement, all your activities, all of your grades, and it's a packet of all of that plus your recommendations, and you submit that ideally in June. And it takes a month for AAMC to verify it. So after they verify it, they also need your MCAT score. So after you have your MCAT score, primaries completed, recommendations in, they send it to all the medical schools you've listed in your application. So let's say you listed 30 medical schools, all of those 30 medical schools get this primary application. And after they received it, they send you a secondary application, which is unique to each school. So each school have their separate secondary application, which consists of about 3 to 4 short responses, and some of them have essays as well. So let's say if you apply to 30 schools, that means you have to do 30 different secondary applications. So that means after you submitted your primaries and you're waiting for it to get approved, you should be working on your secondaries. So when they start coming in, you have to send them in. And the ideal window for sending your secondary application is about 2 weeks. Sometimes students could get it in within 2 weeks. Sometimes it takes 2 months.
Right.
The end goal is the faster you get in your primaries and secondaries, the quicker you're looked at by medical schools, and the more seats they have to give you a seat for interview. So after you get called in for an interview, you go through that process, and if they want you, hopefully they will, you guys are amazing, they will want you, they will send you your acceptance. So that's how it goes. So
right.
After your secondaries are in and you're waiting for interviews, that's basically a year, almost like half a year of waiting. And while you're waiting for interviews and you're waiting for your acceptance, then and if you get accepted, you will start that August after your senior year. So that's what it looks like. So just be prepared, because this isn't, I applied this month and I start 3 or 4 months later. No, it's I apply, get my application done, and then a whole year later, if I get in, I'll start medical school.
Right.
And you can find this information if you search it up on Google. I mean, I know I said a lot of information right now, so it probably just went over your head, but go on Google. So many amazing websites have a really neat timeline of all the dates and when you should have in like whatever for the application. So please check that out. And it doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a senior, start looking at it from as early as possible, because the mistake I made was that I looked at this application cycle when I thought I felt ready to look at it, when I should have started looking at it during my freshman year.
Right.
Yeah.
Start looking at it as early as possible. Yeah, Naomi.
So, as Tasmim said before, that start early, start on time. Well, start early, not on time. Start early. Okay, so for me,
Yeah.
wow. So you know how I'm a planner. Well, somehow something happened since COVID. The pandemic threw my pants so much that it was like up to the air, right? Where first of all, the AMC starts canceling, MCAT, dates and everybody, the SATs and the GMAT, whatever, they start to cancel their exams, in total. So I'm like, oh my goodness, are they going to cancel the MCAT? Like, you don't need it to apply anymore. So during the whole pandemic, time, I think when it first happened, it was a time that I was supposed to start applying and start studying, something like that. And so what ended up happening is I studied for 1 month. Right? I thought I got this. I thought, okay, I could probably stay for a month and a half. And I ended up getting a 500. And I was like, no, I didn't realize how hard it's going to be. I read, articles and stuff about, oh, you should, spend 3 months. But, because I'm used to organic chemistry, physics, Gen Chem, psychology, I said, okay, it's those topics, I took them in undergraduate, I got A's in them, I should be okay. But I didn't realize the amount of work it came to preparing for the MCAT. I was not actually, I wasn't done studying when I took the MCAT.
Right.
But I did have an idea on, what was it about and the questions they did ask. And so during the pandemic, however, my dad lost his job and I had to start working. And, my sister was also born during the pandemic. And, a lot of stuff happened to the house, including my 7 siblings were home. So,
Talk to me about that.
We couldn't leave. I couldn't leave my home because everyone's like, stay in your house because it's COVID. I couldn't go to the library. And I usually, during my, undergraduate years, whatever, I usually go to the library to study. It's nice and quiet. I could plan hours into studying while getting distracted. But because I was home, all that played a part in me just deciding to, probably, having to take an MCAT again, but also study for a longer time, probably for, 4 or 5 months, just because that, on top of working, like I have to study on top of working and then deal with my family members. And I don't have the time to do, just focus. However, if you live by yourself, whatever, right, you should be good at 3 to 2 months of study time. But if you work in a full-time job, you have noisy family members at home. I think we'll go to a library now. But before, you couldn't go to a library and you just had to stay up at night. It was just too crazy for me. However,
baby's crying all over, right? Can't concentrate.
Yes. Yeah. So what I did end up doing is just trying to apply. I just tried because I also want to see, because the MCAT was, a shocker to me, and the amount of work and time that it goes into it. I want to see, how does the application process goes as well, right? So for me, it was a tester. Most people, they say don't try, to, do that. But for me, I needed that. So next time when I apply, I could be ready, right? And as Tasmim said, definitely apply early. So
Tasmim with the laughing emoji.
Yes. So what I did though, I did apply this year in June, just to see, how the process was going. And I did have my essay done ahead of time, which was great. It saved me a lot of time. So make sure you guys, write down your, do your, personal statement ahead of time.
Oh, we need a personal statement.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my, you don't know
my. You're just joking around.
We need a personal statement too.
Oh
my god!
Come on. We need to go back to the lab and just we need to watch over.
personal
Oh
statement is
man,
valid
The
and
personal
guys,
statement
look, it can
put
seem
away a
intimidating.
lot of time
Right,
for the
right,
personal
right.
statement
Mhm.
because I thought it was gonna take me less than a week. It took me nearly a month just to draft it, and the draft, I look back at it and I'm just like, nope, never am I using this. And
Look.
so many things go into your primaries. You have to
Right.
like reach out to your recommenders. First, you have to pick out your recommender.
Mhm.
Then you have to reach out to them with this like really sweet email, like letting them know, hey, please write me a really good recommendation. But then that takes time
Right.
too, and for them to respond back.
Yeah.
Just setting up everything, writing your drafts of the personal
Right.
statement, and for all of your activities, it takes time. So
Right.
please, as Naomi and I are like stressing, start early. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It's fine
Right.
wherever you are right now.
Yeah.
That's completely fine.
Just
But
make sure you start early.
Yeah,
right.
just start. Just start looking into
Absolutely.
it.
And have
Absolutely.
people look
Yeah.
at your essays and give you feedback.
Mm.
That also help. Also like editing too. Sometimes, you might, have grammar mistakes. Have somebody look over that and, fix your grammar mistakes and stuff. Right. On top of that, make sure you write down your volunteer experiences or the experiences you're going through in the moment. Right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Super really good advice.
Exactly. Especially for volunteering.
Mm.
Right? When you meet a patient and you feel like, oh, this experience touched you, write it down. Like what happened, how did it touch you and stuff, because you do have to write about it during the primary, right? So each experience you have to write 700 characters, right? What did you do? Why this was important to you? What's the most meaningful experience you have? Right.
Yeah.
And I did not know that. So I have like 15 plus experiences that I had to write 700 characters for, and I don't really like writing.
Yo, this is so funny. Like it's so funny that it feels like it was yesterday when Naomi gave me her personal statement to read.
Oh my gosh.
I had that done ahead of time, but I did not know. About
guys, listen, you have to plan ahead. Okay, these two are hitting the nail on the head. Start early. Okay, that's the whole point here. The point is it can get intimidating, right? But it shouldn't. The point we're trying to drive at is reach out to your advisors. Okay, so your pre-health advisors, right? Make sure you have a good relationship with them. You're always asking them questions. Make sure you do your research. If you have to keep notes, whether it's on OneNote, Word, PowerPoint, whatever, right? Whatever software you use for keeping notes, even if you have like a notebook that you write stuff in, pretty much keep detailed notes of all that we're saying, right? And of everything that your pre-health advisors give you, right? In terms of that information. That way it will seem less intimidating, right? But yeah, guys, thank you. You know what? Funny thing, this will probably be our longest episode, right? So far, like the fact that just the wealth of information that you guys are given. I know that they're so grateful. Yeah, Naomi.
I do want to quickly mention secondary application. Tasmim, I'm not sure if you have received those yet or anything, but the secondary application has a whole nother set of essays you have to write.
Yeah. I was just talking about it.
Just for 25 schools, there's each school you have to write 3 or 4 essays for.
Mm-hmm. And if you apply to 30,
and they all give you the secondaries like around the same time, like I think 2 or 3 days the same time.
Yeah.
And then people say you have to submit it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How will you submit 25 essays in 2 weeks? I could not do it. I'm sorry.
When did they send you this? In July or?
So in July, just send it to me, and I actually completed them in August, September, because it was just too much for me. Right. I'm not really. You have to think of ways to be creative. How do you tell your point of view? How do you convince medical schools why they should accept you? Right? Why medicine? Why they should accept you? Why their schools? So you do research on their schools. You have to find out why do you apply to their schools. Do you like the city? Do you like the environment? How that connects to your story? You have to put in. You have to go back to your, resume and put down your experiences. So much stuff goes into secondaries that I did not know. That I'm glad that I, took the time to apply. Even with my low MCAT, I was able to see, okay, girls, secondaries, try to see if you could do that ahead of time. So you can do it ahead of time. I think if you research on Google something called like medical school secondary essay prompts, they give you the year before. So I heard that the secondary prompt is usually the same somewhat the same each year. Sometimes they change up a little bit, but it's mostly the same. So if you get started ahead and work on the ones, ahead of, ones from last year ahead of time, it will still be a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So the most top 7 questions is one, what's your most challenge? What difficulty or challenge have you faced? Another question is like, why medicine? Another question is like, why you want to become, why their school?
Yeah.
Offered to their school.
Right.
Another question is about COVID. What happened to you during COVID?
What happened to you during COVID?
Yeah, like what did you do during COVID?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Another essay they ask you is what did you do during your undergraduate year or during your gap year?
Right.
So to give you
Right.
So
this is so much wealth of information, guys. How much is this worth? Tell me.
Wait, the last thing I want to add, please.
Right?
Yeah, the last thing I just wanted to add. This, everything we're saying right now might seem very intimidating, but please do not get intimidated because even though there's a lot that goes into getting into medical school, when you're in it, when you're in the game, you will be fine. Trust me. Don't let all of this scare you away from medicine because if you want to be great at any field, you will need to put in this work.
Absolutely.
Greatness is expected in medicine and you will get there and you will be successful. And if you switch to any other field and you want to be great, you will have to put in the same amount of work. So just, take a deep breath. You could do it. Others have done it. They're humans. You're a human. You're all very gifted and talented. You will get through it.
Don't forget to
take a gap year to do what you got to do. Right. So if you're missing a component, if you're missing volunteering or you only have 100 hours or probably 25 hours, whatever, don't be afraid to take another year to make sure your application is good, to make sure your MCAT score is high. I
have an episode on gap years. Stay tuned for that.
So
okay.
Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, do that. All right. So
subscribe.
Absolutely. You better. For sure, guys. Look, I hope you guys are benefiting from this information. They're just throwing everything out there, right? They're just throwing everything out there. So, great. Okay. So, tell us your social media platforms so that people can follow you as we bring this to an end.
So I could go ahead. I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. I'm actually off social media. I just prefer it that way. But please reach out to me on my email. Can you leave it in the description?
Absolutely.
Or actually, I could just say it now.
Just say it out loud, and I will do that. Don't worry.
Okay, it's Tasmim, my first name, TASMIM.Hoque, HOQUE 99@gmail.com. I'm your big sister. Ask me all the questions. I'm Before's big sister, and I'm your big sister.
There we go. Hit her up, guys. Let her know. All right, let her know. And you can put the PREMED lifeboat in the title. All right, so that she would know that you reached out in such a way. Naomi.
Yeah, same thing. You guys could reach me through my Gmail. I'm glad to answer any questions or anything that you guys want to ask. My email is Naomi, NAOMIC 4488@gmail.com. Okay.
Right. And Naomi, are you what's
Life
that?
of Naomi.
Live on there. Hey, can't wait.
Look forward to that.
Can't wait. Definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there for sure. Okay, so yeah. Naomi, by the way, are you on Instagram or no?
No, I don't really have like an official Instagram yet.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
I need to my LinkedIn and stuff like
LinkedIn.
That. I still have to make one.
Oh, you don't have a LinkedIn account.
I know, because I have so much to put that I just think, it's just too much work.
It's a lot of work.
It's too much work. I might just give you my CV or resume, then for me to make a whole LinkedIn profile and add up all my research. Just a little bit too much work at the moment.
Right.
At the moment.
You're like right now.
We don't need any more. We've got a mountain.
Exactly. We got. Oh man, this was great. This was great, guys. So let's see what else. All right. So guys, this was great. We have fun. I hope you guys had fun listening to us and that you took notes as well. Absolutely, absolutely. So guys, Taz and Naomi, thank you for joining us today. And sharing, so much information, right? I was saying, like, how much is this worth? Crazy, right? A lot for sure. Guys, I hope you learned a lot from today's episode. That is the goal. And yeah, until we meet again, it's bye for now. See you on the 9th episode. Bye.
Bye everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.